Hey everyone, my name's Kelly, and if you're new here, welcome. It's great to meet you for the first time. And if we've met before, I hope that you will enjoy this new arrangement that I am putting together. Do all kinds of different videos. Some of them are more product-based. There's a specific placement pattern that I am thinking through. I'm really considering how much the piece will cost and how many stems I can use and how quickly I could replicate it, all those kinds of things. Then there are other videos that I do, like this one, where we're really focusing on experimenting with it, like a new concept. And perhaps there are some things that we will learn when we're experimenting with this new concept that we can implement into maybe a future product or event design or something like that. And maybe it's just for fun for now, you know? And that could be good too. I wanted to experiment with the concept of luminosity and how the varying levels of intensity in the shades of these green and brown and slightly red things play with each other. I picked a lot of things that are very textural and have a lot of visual interest that you just kind of want to reach in and touch it. When things are rough or fuzzy or like, I don't know, just varied in like levels of color within a particular flower, the way that the light catches them when they come in, especially light from the side, it's like really enchanting. And so I thought it would be fun to experiment each one of these elements, each one of these flowers, these ingredients, those are all words I use interchangeably. Each one of them come together to create a piece that will then live in an environment as an element again. So it all starts as an element, it all ends as an element. We use the principles of design to get there, to the end element. The principles of design are in this element. So it can be very tiny on like a cellular level, the whole way up to just a big grand scheme picture of it. But those kind of core principles are always there, and they're threaded throughout so many different things. They're really fun to look for. Let me introduce you to some of my flower friends here. This is hanging amaranthus. It can be very challenging to work with depending on what it is that you're trying to do with it, but it is best suited if it is literally hanging upside down and dripping down like a waterfall, or if you use it kind of like low in the base of the arrangement. Although I have worked with some folks at the Team Flower Workshop of getting it to loop up and around and to do all kinds of crazy different things, but that can be a little bit challenging to work with sometimes. This pretty leaf up here, scented geranium, smells really nice. Sometimes it makes me feel a little bit itchy, but overall I really like working with it. This is just grass that was in the garden that needed to come out, and I have this pretty little bunny grass, which is also a type of grass, scabiosa. There's wheat here. This is explosion grass. I have a little bit of status, a little bit of like a lacy cap hydrangea. This is a dried astilbe pod. I think the only other thing that I have got that I chose to work with today are different types of these lime zinnias. So maybe we'll add some of these in too. Whenever I am trying a new set of ingredients together or a concept, I might just put like one of each in the arrangement to see how they interact with each other. And so that's what you're looking at now. That's what we're seeing. And now I'm going to, now that I've decided that this is the collection of friends that I've put together that are going to speak on the topic of luminosity, I will continue adding to their club and thinking about the principles of design as I go ahead and do it. Let me move my bucket over here for a minute so that we don't get tangled in the grass. And I'll just put this piece together and kind of tell you a little bit about what's going through my mind along the way. I hope that you enjoy it. I am going to, I think I'm going to fill in with a little bit more explosion grass on this left-hand side. It is something that's like fluffy and airy, and I really want to focus the actual line of these grasses over here. I want everything to kind of like point in that direction for your eye to follow that. There's different kinds of lines. Actual lines are ones that are guiding you, you know, right over and through. And then implied lines are ones that you have to kind of do a little bit of connect the dot work on. But this grass is serving as an actual line. Actual lines are very, very commanding. So I'm hoping that they'll be able to highlight my little favorite ingredient here, bunny grass. Explosion grass right here, so we'll skip back over to that like we were just chatting about. And this I just need like really low. Some of the explosion grass is a little bit greener, some is a little browner. I'm gonna gradiate that as I'm thinking through it. This I feel like is in competition with this. They're not really going in the same direction, or this one I don't feel like really has a strong purpose, so I'm just going to clip that out of the arrangement. It went from brown to a lighter green. This is a new grass, so it's going to be the lightest green. As the grass ages, it gets browner. Do a little gradation in both size and color, because this one is not as open as this one, and this one is open the most. Let's add status next. Now I have got that layered on top of geranium foliage, which I really like. So let's circle back to the geranium foliage and then add in some more status. Forgot to add that to my bucket because I had so much of it, had its own bucket over there. I don't need this whole heaviness, so I'll just edit out the branches that I don't need. Actually, don't think I need this center section at all. Yeah. Really editing the branches is a great form of art in and of itself. Editing is powerful. Can take something that really wasn't all that beautiful or usable before and suddenly turn it into something that is both usable and beautiful. Working in a vessel from Accent Decor. If you are looking for something that is gold, I love this piece. It's completely metal, has a heavy weighted bottom. That looks like a gold mercury glass, but it's not. It's so useful for event work. Okay, so put that in over there. I feel like it's interfering with this whole grass moment that I have over here, so this needs to get moved, and whatever I put here needs to support and go in the direction of that grass. So back up, try again. I am making a little section of geranium foliage in here at the base of the grass to just camouflage that going into the flower frog, but still creating a nice place for it to spring up and out from. I like the way that is flowing and interacting. And then that piece of geranium I want to have come out forward. Say hello to everybody. And I want to find a way to work some more geranium into the back. So now you'll see I put one of each in, but I feel like it is a little less all over the place to, once you get your initial path started, to go back in and work one ingredient at a time, filling it out wherever you think you want it to be and live. And then you can always go back with a little bit more of it at the end. But let's work out all the geranium right now. Next, let's add some Scabiosa pods. These have sweet flowers on them that look completely different than this pod does, and would and could function very differently than this will in this arrangement. In this one, I'm going to connect them just only over here on the left side of the arrangement, and I'm going to put them in a little implied line. Now all of those are kind of evenly spaced down the line, which you can do, but I feel like it's just a little bit more graceful if you've got maybe a pair that are a little closer together. So let's add another one and see how that affects the composition. So I am kind of okay with it, but I'm probably going to come back and look at that again. Let's put some bunny grass in, opposite of that. While I kind of observe and work out the Scabiosa behind the scenes a little bit. I just want to do a nice, oh, look at how cute this one is. It has the tiniest little wiggle, wiggle, wiggle in its stem. Which I think I can get away with. Sometimes if you've got some ingredients that are doing some wonky things than the others, it can take away from it. But see how all these little bunny grasses, they're all going in this direction and they're supporting the movement of that grass. They're all saying, hey, look over here. This is really cool grass. And I'm going to move this grouping of them into the back of the arrangement as well. I had probably 120 different varieties of flowers to choose from and work with during this recording set, and this was the one immediately that I wanted to get to and work with. It looks so different whenever it's with different friends, different flower friends, but whenever I saw this with the Scabiosa pods, that's when I had the idea and the desire to do this luminescent arrangement. Let me flip this back around. Sorry, I got excited. I forgot to keep flipping. It's probably been pretty boring over there from the front. And this one has an interesting stem and a pretty little textural piece, so we'll do one out over to the left here and see about that. And I'll mention too, this is another variety and another type of Scabiosa pod. I just have 3 of them, but if I group them together, they can be pretty powerful. it looks very similar to the bunny grass, so instead of putting it with the bunny grass, I'll put it in a different section of the arrangement. Like it'll be pretty back here, since it's in, you know, pretty close in terms of shape, style, size, texture, color, those kinds of things. You can use ingredients that might compete with each other if you just group them carefully in different sections of the arrangement. Kind of like all the different groups of people can, you know, kind of get along at a school if they're like in their own sections, which makes me feel kind of sad, but here they are, all happily a part of the same arrangement. We don't want to get them too close, we don't want to get them in a fight. This dried astilbe, I'm going to sink into the center of the arrangement just to be a little bit of a textural shadow. And they can all point in the direction of the grass too and be very happy. And let's think about this zinnia now. I'm going to do a little collection of them low here. So I'll look at all the zinnias that I have, and I really like the shape of these ones. I think I'll use these as a little grouping down here low. I don't feel like those leaves really serve our luminescent goal, so they'll just get snipped off. Okay, so it's a pretty one-sided arrangement. I don't feel like I've got to finish the back. If I'm, you know, practicing and having a good time, I can just photograph that from the front. But if I were to, you know, need to finish it out, I'll just do a little bit of opposing explosion grass on the back. Opposite of what's already in there. Soften some of those low-lying actual lines of the grass, just like we did with the geranium. We're just softening it up in the back. And I like how that adds a little bit more depth. It's not competing with the other grass, it's just softening the whole bit here. I will say that when I look at that, I feel like because the grass is angled all back there in one direction, that it feels a little bit like I'm falling backwards. So I'm going to take just a little bit of grass and echo at an angle where this front section is, just right in here, to make it a little bit more dimensional. Okay, and then out to the left here, there's something that's not sitting quite right with me. Let's think through what that could be. Let me do just a little bit of editing here and see. It's missing like a strong sculptural element. These scabiosa that we had put in here, like those two stems were like doing this kind of competing thing with the stem, so let's get rid of that. We'll group them down here at the bottom like that. Could it be that there's just a little bit too much grass over here, or the grass is too thick right in here? Sometimes if you put it up against a white wall, that can help. I think I'm just wanting to kind of guide everything there in this direction. So I'm going to take out these pods right here that were facing the opposite direction, and I'm going to invite them to go back over this way instead. And then I just need to get rid of one of these geranium leaves in the back. I think I just want it to feel a little bit lighter through there. There we go. I think we're about there. Make sure there's nothing that I overlooked in here that I wanted to incorporate or use. Just take a little look. If I had a little bit of something darker zinnia back in this, let's do a little pair of like slightly darker, just to take a little bit of color depth back through the back, and then I'm done. Thank you so much for coming along on this fun little experiment journey with me on the concept of luminosity. You can find more videos like this at teamflower.org.